Hi, everybody. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas, Texas on Thursday, March the 31st. Take it from me, this is the last day of March. So tomorrow we're into the first day of April. And if you think that 2022, is that what this one is? I get lost. If you think that 2022 is flying you by, it is. It is. It's just flying by. And here we are already in April, and the baseball season starts in, I guess, in 10 days. So we're truly into the spring of 2022. So welcome to the spring and welcome to the last day of March. Well, today we're going to talk about a couple of stories, but I want to begin. I want to begin with something that has been developing here in the last 24 hours. And that is that the Hillary Clinton campaign from 2016 has been fined by the Federal Electoral Commission with respect to that dossier that they funded. And that document eventually ended up as the basis for spying on the Trump campaign. It's a very long and complicated story. I'm looking forward. I'm trying to find a legal analyst who can explain it. So we're going to try to do that in a podcast coming up. But here's the bottom line. During the campaign, the Hillary Clinton campaign invested in a dossier. That's what they call these things, I guess. And that document was used to go to the court to get a warrant to spy on the Trump campaign. When Trump came out in January of 2017 or early in his presidency and said they were spying on my campaign, a lot of people thought he was crazy, but it's actually turning out to be right. Okay, they were spying on his campaign. Now, exactly what happens after this fine that the Clinton campaign is paying, we're going to have to see what happens. I would recommend that you follow what Jonathan Turley, Professor Turley, has been writing on his website. He is a Fox News contributor. He's also a professor of law. He's one of the best legal minds in the country. And he's been following the story. And there's a lot more to the story than I can tell you right now. But this is serious. This is serious. And it confirms one of the things that President Trump said, that they were spying on his campaign. I mean, it confirms it. There's no question about that. And you have to begin to wonder, when you get the Clinton campaign to pay a fine like this, then is the John Durham investigation also tied into this? Remember, they're looking at this as well. And you're beginning to wonder right now, how serious is this going to get? But Trump was right. They were spying in his campaign. And the fact that the Hillary Clinton campaign has now been forced to pay a fine about all of this and the document that they produced, that doesn't make them look good. So I think this is one of those stories that it's going to get even more complicated. But again, I would recommend that the best place to follow this, story, if you really want to get into the details and some of the deeper meaning of this or that, is to follow Professor Turley, Turley, Jonathan Turley. He's got a website. He writes a great deal. And that's where you should go to get this information. But this is not good news for Hillary Clinton. It's not good news for the Democrats. It's not good news for the media either, because the media, didn't cover the story that well. And that takes us, of course, to Hunter Biden. All of a sudden, everybody in the media is interested in the Hunter Biden laptop. The Washington Post, the New York Times, other networks, CBS ran a segment in the last day or so saying that there was a lot in that laptop, and there was a lot that they're looking at in that laptop. Now, of course, the fact that Hunter Biden was a reckless man and who was engaged in all kinds of crazy things, including pretty exotic personal behavior, that in itself does not tie the president to any of this. Let's be fair about it. But there's all kinds of things that could potentially tie Joe Biden as vice president to all of this. So again, this is another one of those stories that the media avoided. If you remember, a month before the election, the New York Post came out with a story that they were breaking about the laptop and the role of Hunter Biden, and the media dismissed it. In fact, at one point, Facebook and Twitter would not allow you to print anything from that New York Post article. And now, of course, you have the opposite. Now the media is like running over each other to see who's going to cover the story. So my sense that there's something coming. There's something coming with Hunter Biden. I don't know exactly whether it involves his father, the president. That part, I think, is not clear. And we shouldn't be jumping to conclusions until we see some evidence. But there are some things about the Hunter Biden story that just don't make any sense. And we've been saying this for quite some time. Here's a man with no experience whatsoever who gets these jobs and these contracts and makes all this money. And the only thing he has is his father's last name. And then you've got the connection to Ukraine, where his father was sort of overseeing things in Ukraine when he was vice president. So all of these things don't look good. But we should wait at least until the report comes out. But it's fascinating how the media all of a sudden has discovered the Hunter Biden laptop. And what that tells me is that they're trying to cover their behind. They're trying to cover their you know what, because I think they know that some bad news is coming. And some bad news, I think, indeed is coming with respect to Hunter Biden. Now, President Biden is about to release some petroleum or some barrels, oil barrels, I guess, from what we call the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. And he's going to do this because he's got to do something. I mean, the price of oil is killing the American people. The price of gasoline is killing the American family. So he's going to come out and say that he's going to release X number of barrels. But here's the bottom line. What he's going to do is only going to cover 9 days. So maybe for the next 9 days, you'll see a few cents off on your gas bill or something like that. But he's not going after the real problem. The real problem is that his administration early on decided to cut back on oil production. And that's the real problem. So if President Biden really wants to do something about the price of oil, what he should do is reinstate the Trump policies with respect to energy and get America producing energy again. Tell all those people who produce energy, oil, whatever they produce, say, hey, guys, get going and flood the market with American oil or American natural gas or whatever. That's what we need to do. Now, of course, Biden is not going to do that because he's afraid of the left wing. He's afraid of the left wing. People like AOC and some of these other Green Party people who have Biden really tied up in a chair. But if he really wants to do something about the price of gas, that's what he needs to do. He needs to unleash American production. And there's plenty of American production. I mean, there is unbelievable inventories of energy here in the United States, not just in Texas, but in Alaska and lots of other places in the country. Lots and lots of oil that we could unleash to at least bring cheaper gasoline to the American people and take away from Putin the opportunity of using oil as a geopolitical weapon. So yes, he's going to release some barrels from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. It's a small little thing he's doing, completely insignificant. But I think they're starting to get the pressure in the White House that the public is fed up with gasoline prices. I mean, completely fed up with gasoline prices. Let me tell you something. I have a post over at the American Thinker saying that the real winner is Governor DeSantis of Florida. And what I was talking about was the Oscars that happened a few nights ago. I guess the one where they had that fight that I don't really care anything about. But I didn't watch it, but many people are saying that during the programming, that a lot of people were criticizing Governor DeSantis of Florida for the law that he just signed. And, you know, the people in the left are saying that the law discriminates against homosexuals, LGBT, whatever the classification is. In fact, the law doesn't do any of that. What the law simply says is that youngsters, 5 years old, 6 years old, 7-year-olds, 8-year-old, 9-year-olds, should not be hearing anything at all about sexuality from their teachers. That's as simple as it gets. It doesn't get any more complicated than that. And I tell you, as a parent who at one time had kids of that age, it would have never occurred to me or their teachers, who we all loved and respected so much, that they would be talking to kids of that age about sexuality. So I don't know where the public schools went wrong here, that you have teachers who think that it's their responsibility to tell youngsters about sexuality and gender issues. The reality is it's none of their business. If anybody's going to do that, it should be their parents. So anyway, all the lefties went after Governor DeSantis and this and this and this and that. The Disney Corporation has pretty much declared war on Governor DeSantis. So here's the good news. Governor DeSantis' approval has gone up and up and up since this happened. And the more that the parents in Florida or the parents anywhere else understand what this law is, the more likely they are to support the law. This is not about homosexuality, this law that Governor DeSantis signed. The law is about protecting little kids, 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 7-year-old kids, from hearing about sexuality. I'm sorry, but if again, I don't know who gave the teachers or why teachers would even think that it's their responsibility to tell youngsters of that age about sexuality. It's completely off the program. That's not why you send your kids to school. You send them to school to learn how to read, learn how to write, learn how to do math or whatever. That's why you send them to school. And at that age, the last thing in the world that you want anybody, especially your teacher, is talking to your kids about sexuality. So the governor was right. And in reality, the governor has been the winner of this whole thing, not Disney. Unfortunately, the Disney Corporation has really gone woke, and I think they're going to hurt themselves a great deal by doing that. But the governor of Florida, Governor DeSantis, is the one who came out as a winner of all of this. And keep it up, Governor. He's doing a great job. Governor DeSantis, if Donald Trump does not run, that's the guy who the Republicans are going to nominate. I mean, I'm convinced of that Governor DeSantis is going to be the nominee if Donald Trump decides not to run. And I don't even want to get into that today because that's too complicated. But I love the work that Governor DeSantis is doing in Florida. And everybody I talk to in Florida absolutely loves what the governor is doing down there. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your time. Have a wonderful day. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas, and we will talk to you later. Bye-bye, everybody.